Pat March, SU's offensive coordinator for men's lacrosse, joining us on the show. Coach, sorry that we're running a couple minutes late here. Congrats on the start to the season. How you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, we always love talking lacrosse with you, and 2 games in the books now, 13-6 win over Boston U, and then just a really impressive 20-2 win over St. Joseph's over the weekend. I know it's a small sample size, but 2 games in right now. What have you liked to this point on the offensive side of things?
Yeah, I think offensive side of things, I thought in the Boston game we were able to control the pace of the game and really kind of go deeper into possessions and be able to, I wish we could have shot the ball a little bit better in that game, but be able to control the pace of the game and really kind of let the game flow from us as a team. And then in our second game, I thought we shot the ball extremely well and were able to kind of jump on them a bit and then kind of control the game from there. So both games were great, and we're happy with the result.
The second game in particular, so many different guys scoring, so many different guys getting on the field in a 20-2 win. And I know you're seeing them every day at practice. Is there benefit? I would imagine that there is benefit as a head coach of seeing these guys in game action and kind of seeing your depth and your balance on full display. Are you able to, even if it's a quarter or two, are you able to evaluate something about players that maybe you wouldn't be able to see in practice when they're out there for games?
Yeah, it's always great to be able to get different guys in the game, and especially younger guys. I mean, the lights are obviously brighter in the dome and when you're playing in a game. So when they can get out there and kind of experience what that's like, when they're able to score a goal and hear the fans go crazy, it's really good. And we had some great play in the second half from some of our younger guys, and Ted Rawson, a lot of guys scoring first goals. Hans continue to play well, who's a young guy. So, yeah, it's awesome to get those guys into the game and get them that experience.
Bogan is exactly where I was going next. I was going to ask you about some of the younger guys who we've seen, and he's been doing a little bit of everything so far for you guys as a freshman. What has impressed you the most about his play here in the early going? Yeah,
Bogue's a guy who just does everything right. He's never not in the right spot. He's always doing what he's supposed to do. And then when the play's there, most of the time he makes that play consistently. So he's been a great addition. Having a guy who's very two-handed and be able to initiate our offense has been huge. He's been a great piece for us.
How about Joey Spallina going away from the younger guys to one of the veterans who just passed Gary Gate? He's now in 7th place on the all-time points list. If he stays healthy, we all assume he's going to break Mikey Powell's all-time record. He just seems to kind of show up every game, right? And he's just so consistent. And we talk about his lacrosse IQ. We talk about his work ethic. How has he elevated his game now as a senior from where you maybe first saw him? The last few years.
Yeah, I think the addition of kind of the leadership aspect this year, Joey's a captain for us this year, and he's really done a great job of kind of building chemistry with his teammates. And, there's a lot of guys that are experienced, but we also have some new guys like we just talked about, Bogan, and kind of making sure those guys are doing what they're supposed to do and they know what they're supposed to do, and we're able to execute when we need to execute. And then obviously his play has always been there. He's a model of consistency when it comes to that stuff with shooting and dodging and doing all that. So he's been great for us and really stepped into that leadership role.
Peyton Anderson was out the last game due to an illness. We saw Michael Leo at attack. How would you kind of assess, Michael Leo's performance in that game?
It was great. Michael did a great job. He's done a great job in both games. And the nice thing about Michael is he provides flexibility, where he can play attack, he can play midfield, and the same goes for a lot of the guys. Being able to kind of have the depth of the bench that we have and having guys who kind of play in different spots, it just allows us to move them around and play positionless lacrosse. So it's been great, and Michael's been great in the first 2 games and was great at attack, and he's been great at midfield in the first game too.
All right, let's turn our attention to this much-anticipated game on Friday. It is officially now 1 versus 2, with you guys moving up from third to second in the media poll. We all know how good Maryland is. We know how good you guys are. It's going to be a great early season lacrosse game. As you're preparing for this one, Coach, how much do you look back on the Final Four game, or recent games against them, or I guess how much does that apply to a new team in a new season?
It's definitely something that you look back on. Maryland's a team that's been kind of doing things the same way for a long time. So you can kind of look back. They don't really change a lot. They do the same stuff, and they do it extremely well, and they do it consistently well throughout the game. So you can look back on the Final Four games. You can look back on our regular season games the past few years. And then obviously you got to watch the tape from this year. They've only played one game, so being able to watch their game against Loyola, it helps us prepare. So we're ready to go.
You talk about they've been doing the things the way that they do them for a very long time. They want to slow the game down, right? And you guys want to play a little bit faster and up tempo. What is the biggest challenge in playing a game like that? That is a contrast in styles, knowing that the opponent wants to do something that is the opposite of what you want to do. What's the biggest challenge in that, and how do you combat that?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just making sure you're really efficient. In our previous games against them, the possessions have been extremely low. So we may only play 20 possessions on offense, where in a normal game we might play upwards of high 20s or 30 possessions. So when you're getting the ball less, it's less opportunity to score. And really how you combat that is a possession advantage, and that's something that we haven't had against them the last few times that we've played them. So if we can kind of inch ourselves and be really clean in the clear and maybe ride a few back and be squared away at the face-off X, it just gives us the ability to kind of attack them more. They're very good at playing maybe a little bit slower or monotonous and driving the possession battle lower in the game. So it's something that, if we can win that possession battle, especially early in the game, we'll play at our pace. And that's something that we've been able to do in the first 2 games, is we've been able to play at a tempo that we want to play at, whether it was fast or sometimes it's slow. If you control the tempo of the game, you're usually going to be the team that comes out on top.
The idea of changing around the lacrosse schedule has come up in recent weeks with the weather postponements around the country to start the season. We heard Gary Gait advocate for a later start date, more midweek games, maybe raising the minimum number of games that can be played, some alterations that he would like to see moving forward. Where do you kind of stand on those things, Pat? And if you could, improve something about the way college lacrosse is scheduled or change something, what would that be?
Yeah, I pretty much align with what Coach Gates said. We sit around as a staff and talk about it all the time. I'm a guy who comes from Division III, where you start a little bit later, you play more games. So you play midweek games. I think in Division I, the coaches tend to strangle it, and they really want the control. They want more of a football schedule. And I think for us, and kind of when you're looking at the popularity of lacrosse and trying to make lacrosse a big-time sport, you really want to get into the right TV windows and stuff. So I do think moving the season back and getting maybe away from basketball a little bit is always helpful. You're definitely going to get a little bit better weather, so you're going to get more fans at games. And I think the midweek games are great too, because it provides another spot maybe where we can fill a void that maybe somebody doesn't have a TV time or things like that. And I think the midweek games are great too. It allows the players to have more of a player's game versus a control coach's game. So I'm more of the hockey variety, more games, let the players play, coach them, but let them decide things on the field, versus the strangle control aspect of kind of like what a football program would do.
And you talk about scheduling philosophies. We've known Gary Gait a long time, and even going back to his time with the women's program, he always scheduled, as tough as he could, right? He doesn't dodge any challenge, no matter how early in the season it is. And I guess along those lines, Coach, how much do you look forward to playing a game like this so early, even if you guys aren't fully ready for this, to take on a top-ranked opponent after only playing 2 games? Why is it so important to challenge yourself like this this early in the schedule before the conference slate starts up?
It's a huge evaluation thing. We get, basically a pop quiz this weekend or on Friday night, and we get to see where we're at as a team and as a program. And, they'll do things that probably expose weaknesses for us. We'll do things that expose weaknesses for them. And those are things that you need to improve on throughout the year. And if you can do that and get better and better, hopefully you're going to be the best team that you can be at the end of the year. If you want to be the best team at the end of the year, you got to play the best and beat the best. So being able to kind of get out there and test our mettle against them early in the season is only going to make us better.
And then along those lines, it's not often that, let alone get to see one number one ranked team in the country in the Dome. Fans get to see two of them on Friday, right? The women's team is taking on North Carolina at 2:30, and then you guys follow against Maryland at 6. Can you just, I guess, speak to the overall, spectacle that this will be on Friday, and just a great showcase for college lacrosse that you've got, 4 great programs in a doubleheader, men's, women's doubleheader, and just the opportunity that it is for local lacrosse fans to go check it out.
Yeah, we're fired up. We're fired up for Coach Thorpe and his team to welcome the number 1 UNC team to town and rooting hard for them. And then obviously Maryland being number 1 coming in to play us. It's a great opportunity to get out and see 2 games, some of the best college lacrosse in the country, some of the best lacrosse played in the country. And what's a better venue to do it than 70 and sunny in the Dome, especially with the weather we've had recently.
For sure. We can't wait for it. I guess just last one as we wrap this up. What do you think this game ultimately comes down to on Friday evening for you guys?
Yeah, I think for us, the possession battle advantage that I talked about earlier, I think that's one thing. I think we got to shoot the ball well. We've not done that the last 3 times we played them, so we got to shoot the ball well and win our one-on-one matchups. So if we can do those 3 things, I think we'll be okay.
All right. Well, we can't wait. We appreciate the time as always. We love talking lacrosse with you, Coach. Best of luck Friday, and best of luck as this season gets going. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Great to be on with you. Look forward to it. See you guys.
All right. Pat March, offensive coordinator for the SU men's lacrosse program, joining us on the show. We will hit our final time out here. We'll pick our artist of the day for Wednesday as we wrap things up next on ESPN.